It was probably the worst kept secret in the world. A new Pokémon generation was going to be announced today, and lo and behold, it happened. Pokémon Winds and Waves are coming to Nintendo Switch 2 in 2027, which is already pretty surprising news. I don't think many people had a 2027 release on their bingo card. But there is so much more to the juice from this pretty substantial trailer, so I suggest we take a closer look. Oh, and I do quickly want to mention I have not been following the leaks surrounding these games at all, so I'm analyzing all of this completely blind to information that may already be out there. So if you're going in blind, you're completely safe here. If you have been following the leaks, you may hear me say things you know aren't true. Anyway, let's get started with the opener, which I initially thought was merely a cute introduction, looking back at the old games alongside our favorite mascot Pikachu, but as it turns out now, that is actually not the case. First of all, did you notice this Pikachu has a new design? Yeah, it seems that after the Kanto starters in Scarlet and Violet, it was now Pikachu's time to get his model updated. He looks a bit slimmer and with a model that's more reminiscent of his modern artwork. And yes, this is not just for this visual. Later on we see a Pikachu getting caught that full on reveals this is a new model, with new animations and even a brand new pose. I gotta say though, I'm not loving the coloration on Pikachu in this shot. He looks very washed out, his yellow is starting to border on greenish. But that's not all for this initial little introduction. Of course, the sketch of Pikachu looking out the window towards the open sea is a clear hint of what we now know is the core focus of the game, but I'm actually talking about these two weirdos. Now, I can't be the only one who thought these Pikachu were just meant to convene we were going on a trip, right? Well, we were all wrong, these Pikachu are actual characters. According to the official website, these are Mr. Windy Chew and Mrs. Wavy Chew, with accompanying text explaining they are involved in your adventure in some way, though that isn't further explained. The idea itself definitely brings back memories of the cosplay Pikachu from ORAS, although they don't appear to be too bad already. And then it's time for the actual in-game shots, which immediately reveals that graphically the game seemed to follow the same style introduced in Scarlet and Violet, albeit with upgrades that create a look that reminds me of new Pokémon Snap. The textures are still not in the place they could be, although we do already see additional detail, better lighting, much better water, which is probably to be expected from a game like this, and better performance than what Scarlet and Violet delivered on the base Switch. They make that very clear by showing us this windmill early on that is looking a lot better than Paldea's do on Switch 1. It is also immediately clear from these first few moments that we're looking at a tropical region once again, with palm trees on the islands here, coral reefs underwater, and much larger islands awaiting us in the distance. The website confirms we will be exploring this region through an open world format once again, describing the currently unnamed region as beautiful windswept islands and a vast ocean with glimmering waves that ebb and flow. It also says that the Pokémon that live in harmony with this region's lush environment have developed their own unique ecosystems and that we will need them on our journey, not just for future challenges, but also to overcome the forces of nature that may block our paths at times. This is very interesting wording, it sounds very similar to the HM system of old, and while I don't think that will be returning, Legend ZA also requires us to remove obstacles using our Pokémon's moves, so we might see that return. In which case, this would potentially not be a true open world game, which would actually be a pretty significant change from Scarlet and Violet. Time will tell whether these obstacles are merely minor stuff, or actually force you down a certain path, effectively making the game semi-linear again. It could even just be referring to the ocean and you will need Pokémon to traverse it. While we have had tropical regions before, like Hoenn and Alola, this one definitely takes inspiration from a part of the world we have yet to visit, being Southeast Asia. And looking at how the region appears to be an island group, by far the most likely candidate for the setting is Indonesia. While there is nothing in the trailer that I could pinpoint specifically to a real-world landmark, like how for example Scarlet and Violet's Academy appears to be based on Barcelona's Sagrada Familia, the general design as well as the architecture in some of the shots does make it feel very likely for this to be based on Indonesia, which is definitely exciting. We haven't been back in Asia since Pokémon Diamond and Pearl, this was a long time coming. In the next few shots we get some looks at the environments of this region. We see a thick jungle, a bay with a spouting Wailord, and then what cannot possibly be a minor location, a giant luxurious tower with a Pokeball on top. This is by all accounts probably a hotel or a resort, although it is hard to say whether the houses we see here with the wooden roofs are supposed to be bars, so mere counters, or rather actual residencies, which could effectively make this place our starting town. There is some evidence for this, as in later backgrounds we can see a sign for the location, which shows a Pokeball with 5 stars, suggesting again that this is a very luxurious hotel or resort, and here we can see what appears to be a room, as I'm pretty sure that's a bed in the background there. Either way, this is undoubtedly where our adventure starts, with several shots showing the protagonists in this location, as well as one where the guy appears to be starting his journey, walking away from the hotel along what you would assume is the first route. And obviously, arriving at a hotel or resort is the perfect explanation for why our new characters visit this unknown region. And speaking of the protagonists, what's easy to miss in this trailer is that this game is doing the same thing as Scarlet and Violet did. Depending on your game, they have a different design, possibly as a result of this hotel having different styles between games, like the Naranja and Ufa Academy. In Pokémon Winds, your character wears a cowboy-like hat, has white coloration on his differing accessories, and they all bear a symbol of a wind-like swirl, further suggesting we're doing the Naranja and Ufa Academy thing again here. In Pokémon Waves, the characters wear caps, have blue highlights, and their symbol is fittingly waves under the sun. Weirdly enough, it appears as if the characters in Winds have an exclusive satchel on their belt and hat which Waves doesn't have. This could just be a design difference, or perhaps Waves has it stored somewhere that isn't visible here, because it would be very odd for something like this to point towards a version exclusive gimmick. The similarities to Scarlet and Violet definitely bring up questions regarding customization though, which those prior games did have, but it was quite limited, and purely based on this, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see the immense options of, for example, Legend CA return here, but it's too early to say for certain. It should also definitely be pointed out that both characters appear to be holding some kind of hoverboard. This could be how we traverse the sea. It could also be the game's equivalent of a bike, as in all-terrain, but either way I do find it interesting, because it appears to conflict with the website's earlier statements of how we'll need Pokemon to overcome nature in this region. The next shots give us more looks at the region itself, so let's dive deeper into that. First of all, it appears we once again have a clear visual indicator of where we can find Poké Centers while out in the open, this time with a balloon providing a clear marker. That is only when we're on the road though, because this establishment, a nice cozy wooden structure that once again combines the Pokémon Center with the market like in past games, does not have a balloon on top of it. It might have a PC in the background, but that is hard to tell. We then get a good sight of the sights, including another jungle, the wild waves of the ocean, the more modest grass area at the start with high grass to hide in while sneaking up on Pokémon, as well as our first town. This here is the aforementioned Pokémon Center plus Market, confirming that in settlements there are no balloons on top. We can also see a lot more structures in the background here, so this town appears to be much larger than just the pier the trailer centers on. It is definitely reminiscent of locations like Pacific Locktown and Sea Folk Village, both of which also hail from tropical regions of course. We then get some more natural environments, such as these hills, which do have something written on it, but even using the Pokemon alphabet it translated to pretty much nothing. This shot, as well as the next, do clearly showcase the improved lighting though. We then get a look at a lava-filled area, presumably a volcano of sorts, as well as a waterfall, a beach, a very nice looking swamp or mangrove, a cave, smaller islands confirming this isn't like Alola where the region is built up of large islands only, and finally, underwater. And the way the trailer draws attention to this makes me believe this is a very strong indicator underwater travel, as previously seen in Hoenn, will return here. The entire vibe of this part strongly reminds me of new Pokemon Snap's Under Sea level, another potential link between the games. But of course, all these locations don't matter if there are no Pokemon in them, so let's count what we can spot so far. Confirmed to make an appearance in Winds and Waves are Pikachu, Gloom, Tropius, whose model has been improved with the leaves now letting light through, the Wilmer line, Nimble, Tailo, Tangela, well and Oddish, but Gloom's presence already confirmed Oddish, the Ledaba line, Slugma, who now actually glows a little due to how hot it is, Sislipede, returning for the first time since its introduction, Wingull, Krabby, Sandagast, Corsola, Marini, Carnivine, Timple, Duskull, Luminion, Frillish and Dynamo. But of course, we shouldn't forget the 3 new faces, our starter trio, Brout, Pombon and Gekwa. While the trailer gives us a good look at these guys in motion, the website adds some additional information as well as their official art. It reveals Brout is considered the Bean Chick Pokemon. It's 1 foot tall, so around 30 centimeters, and weighs 7.7 pounds, roughly 3.5 kilograms. It's stated it runs around energetically while photosynthesizing using the leaves on its brow, making clear its brow is a core part of its design if the name didn't already convey that. It's lively, but also a bit clumsy. Like all grass starters, its ability is Overgrow. Next is Pombon, the puppy Pokemon, a category it shares with Growlithe, Lillipup, Rockruff, Yamper and Fidough. It's a little taller, 1 foot 4, which is about 40 centimeters, and all that fluff makes it about twice as heavy as Brout, at 14.8 pounds or 6.7 kilograms. Its ability is of course Blaze, and it is stated that the area below its throat grows faintly from the heat-generating organ within its lungs. This Pokemon is guileless and friendly. And then there's Gekwa, the Aqua Gecko Pokemon. It is the same height as Brout, also 1 foot or 30 centimeters, but weighs a little more at 9.5 pounds or 4.3 kilograms. It can launch springy balls of water from its tail and is said to be very intelligent and maneuver shrewdly while putting on airs. And its ability is Torrent, of course. All 3 are only their starter type, with no real signs of dual typings yet, I would say, although Gekwa could, from a design standpoint, easily evolve into a poison type or something. Now, while these 3 are the only confirmed Gen 10 Pokemon currently, I do want to point out something interesting in one of the last shots. This cloud looks suspiciously like a dragon. Its shape feels very distinct, almost Gyarados-like, and its coloration is notably different from other clouds in the same shot. That could be the result of the lighting, it could be rain or a thundercloud, but it could also be a hint at something much more important. There's currently no telling, unfortunately, but I felt I had to show it. That is pretty much it as far as the trailer goes, but I do have 2 more details to mention before I call it a day. First of all, as has become the norm, the Japanese logo of the game features a special icon that will probably prove to be relevant in the game. Examples include Megastones in Gen 6, Z-Crystals in Gen 7, and now Winds and Waves as well, with a little Pokeball icon with swirls on it. No clue what this could mean, it's seen nowhere else in the trailer, but experience teaches us we will all be using this by the time the game's release. Which they will then also do in Brazilian Portuguese, which is a first for the Pokemon series. Parabéns to all of you who have been waiting for that. And apologies for that pronunciation. Anyway, are you excited for Winds and Waves? What are your thoughts and theories? And which starter are you picking? Share it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing. And if you really want to support me, you can now become a channel member to get all kinds of fun perks and help me keep bringing these videos to your doorstep every week. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.